Hey guys, welcome back to the Comeback Athlete Podcast. I'm Blake, and we're going to be continuing our conversation on what macronutrients are. And so this week we're going to cover protein, and we're going to talk about why it matters. I'm going to make it as simple as possible, and I'm going to hopefully help you figure out how to get more of it, as well as try to help you understand what percentage of your diet should be that for your goals. And then we'll kind of break that into 4 different groups. So we'll continue the kind of the framework I've been using, which is weight loss, body composition clients. So people who want to change their aesthetic. That's one group. Number 2 would be performance group. How much protein does a performance athlete need? And that one will get a little bit more sport specific. And then number 3 will be kind of hormonal health. This person will need the least amount of protein, but still need an adequate amount. And then the last one would be the vitality client, the person who wants to live long and prosper. To my trackies out there, and how much protein they should be getting. So let me sip this coffee and we'll dive in and get after it. I didn't sleep well last night, so I am doing an afternoon coffee as we do this podcast live. And we'll be live when you listen to it, but it is for me. So is protein just for bodybuilders? Do you really need much of it? I think I get enough, but that's because I just eat chicken sometimes. I remember my dad went on a chicken diet and he was eating only fried chicken thinking it was healthy, right? So it's just funny, and that was 15 years ago and we still make fun of him about it. He just didn't know. He heard chicken was high in protein. It must be healthy for you. So I want to blow some of the myths away. Fried chicken's got a ton of fat in it. Not good fats. It's got a lot of it's got a lot of bad fats in it for you. And so I would say that as good as fried chicken is, it's not going to be the optimal calorie deficit lean protein you want to get to change your aesthetic. Okay. So with that being said, one of the big things I wind up seeing working with a lot of clients is that most people are under eating protein. And part of why that's a huge problem isn't just that it's not going to help them recover. But one of the biggest problems is that people aren't aware of it. They don't know how to get it in. Protein tends to be things you need to cook more so. It doesn't have a high shelf life for most protein. And the amount you need to get in is much more than most people anticipate. And so when you're not thoughtful of it, it's very easy to undereat your protein, which puts you back. Where carbs and fats get stored in our body, protein does not. Our body does not store protein. It uses what we eat, and then that is it. And we use it for a lot of different things. So let's jump in. Quick reminder, carbs, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, are the optimal fuel our body loves to use for energy, right? So think of that as the gas that gets the engine going, all right? Fats are slow long-term energy. So they're like carbs in the sense that our body likes to use them for fuel, but it keeps them in reserve because fats also play a unique role for our hormone health. Okay. And so they keep the body kind of insulated and hormonal health functioning well and make sure the energy is efficient. Be a good way to kind of say that. Protein is the raw material of building and repairing your body back. So it's the building blocks. And how this works is that protein gets broken down into what's called amino acids. You've heard this probably at a GNC store or vitamin shop. Buy these amino acids. What's amino acids? Well, it's like protein. It's the broken down version of protein, right? That helps build and repair muscle tissue, our hair. It's what helps it grow back. Fingernails, toenails, our skin, when we get scabs and our skin heals and grows back, that's protein that plays into that. It supports your recovery, it supports your sleep, your mood. It keeps your immune system strong. So these are all things it does. But for most of us that are training for performance, training for higher quality of life, protein really is going to be the thing that helps us recover. So if carbs help us go hard in the workout, fats keep our hormones balanced and recovered, protein is going to actually allow our muscle tissues to repair, build back stronger so that we can get back at it again. Okay. So that's kind of the simple way of understanding it. Now, here's kind of where things get interesting. When you undereat it, right, you're going to recover slower. You're going to feel more sore after workouts. You're going to get cravings more often because your stress levels will be higher on your body physically. And so your body's going to actually stress, and then it's going to call for more carbohydrates. But really, you probably need more protein at that time. And then you're going to wind up having a harder time losing body fat because what's going to happen is your body's going to want to hold on to fats, feeling that it's undernourished because it's not that it's not necessarily getting enough calories, it's not getting enough of the right calories. So think of like if you're building a puzzle and you need the right pieces to finish the puzzle, but you think you'll finish the puzzle by dumping a different puzzle on top of it. Or even a better analogy, you're taking all of the corner pieces, right? You only need one of all of those. And you wind up getting like 10 of all of those and throwing it in there, but it doesn't help you because it doesn't fit into the puzzle because you already have those pieces. So that's why macros matter, and getting the right macronutrients into the puzzle of your diet really does play a huge role. So how do you get more of this in? I've kind of simply explained it to you. I try to keep it really, basic so that we don't get nerdy and it just helps translate to everyday people. Eat protein at every meal is kind of my golden rule. Okay. And then if you can get, my other rule is, so eat at every meal and try to have 50 grams of protein by 10 a.m. at the latest. The reason for this is that it gets really difficult if you're trying to get 150 to 200 grams of protein in if you're approaching the afternoon and you haven't already. Because let's say you just eat lunch and dinner. Well, that's roughly going to be 75 grams of protein at both of those meals. And those are big meals. And it's going to be a lot of animal meat or Greek yogurt or protein powder. And that's also going to have digestive issues and all kinds of other things. So you want to spread it out a little bit. And I don't say this like this is true for everyone, but ideally for most people, you get very full and it's very difficult to get that much protein in that short amount of window. So try to get it every meal and try to have at least 50 grams by 10 a.m. The other thing I would do is if you don't want to count calories, which most clients do not, then what I would do is I'd look at my palm, and this is kind of a precision nutrition idea, right? And I try to get a certain amount of palms worth of protein at each meal or for the day. So let's say a palm size is about 25 grams of protein. And let's say you need to get 100 grams for the day. All right, that'd be pretty low, but let's just say that. So what you're going to do is you're just going to aim to get 4 palms. So you can have 1 palm at breakfast, 1 palm at lunch, and 2 palms at dinner. And then you will have hit your goal. And if you can kind of think of this is a chicken patty, this is, a steak the size of that. I'm going to get a cup of Greek yogurt. It's probably about the size of my palm, right? Those will be roughly around 20 to 30 grams, somewhere in that range. Okay. So a good rule of thumb for most people, it really depends on your weight. We try to say 1 gram, like it's really the research shows 0.8 grams to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. There's some research that suggests it should be even higher, but typically 1 gram per pound of body weight is a really good ratio for most people. So what that looks like is and you want to think about that just to specify, not at your current weight, but at the weight that you desire to be. So it's like, let's say you're 250 pounds, but you want to be 200 pounds. So I wouldn't have you eat 250 grams of protein. I'd have you eat 200 grams because that's the ideal weight. You're willing to lose fat and muscle to get to a place where you'll have the adequate body mass that you want and preserve that muscle and recover and feel very vital at that. So that would be kind of a good starting spot, right? You want to also find really good snacks that are protein friendly. So a lot of people like to boil eggs. or Greek yogurt, I've mentioned that one, or cottage cheese. A lot of people don't like those. If you do, you're in good shape because they're protein packed and then they're pretty low calorie. Um, you know, things like tuna packs, protein shakes, protein bars, those kinds of things will be very handy. There's also kind of like protein cereals now, like Magic Spoon. There's also protein waffle. They've made all kinds. Kodiak has protein pancakes. You can make protein waffles. There's all kinds of really yummy different ways to get it in. Now, that being said, you can, try to make the most yummy versions, highly palatable protein. You have to be careful of all the preservatives that they add in. We talked about in fats last time, all the seed oils, polysaturated fats that are just not very good for us. That you want to be careful not to get a ton of that in because of inflammation, right? I know people would be like, well, I'm hitting my 200 grams protein. They're doing like 4 Fairlifes, a bunch of Greek yogurt and, a bunch of protein bars. And they're like, and I look fatter and I feel terrible. This doesn't work. And it's like, no, you're not fatter. It's that you're more inflamed. You're more puffy. You have more inflammation because you're eating things that have a lot of omega-6s in it. And that's what that's causing. So it's not necessarily that. That's why when bodybuilders go into a really deep cut and they keep protein really high, they stick to a lean fish, like a whitefish, tilapia, and chicken breasts, right? They don't even do chicken thigh because they want to do low fat, low calorie, high protein, and they don't ever mess with any kind of like protein bars and stuff like that. If they are, and you know them, probably on steroids. Just going to say that. Because when you're on steroids, not only are you able to grow muscle and be more anabolic, you're also able to, when you're anabolic, burn more calories efficiently and have a higher metabolism. So therefore, you're allowed to kind of have a little bit more wiggle room with your cheat on your diet. Anyways, let's talk about goals for particular types of clients. Weight loss clients and body comp clients. This is what we're going to start with. So again, I'd start with 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. And to make that more simple, just think if you were like a 150-pound woman, I'd want you at the lowest around 120 grams to 140. And the ideal would be like 150, 155. Okay. I would just say make sure if you're trying to lose weight that you prioritize protein early in the day and then you save your carbohydrates for just post-workout and really prioritize protein the rest of the day as well. But you have to start your day with some protein and get it in. It's just going to help you stay full. It's also going to help you not lose muscle mass, and it's going to allow you to keep your insulin sensitivity down, all that kind of stuff. If you're a performance client, I'm going to take a little bit more time on this one. All right. This one's going to be really important to have a higher end because performance is going to need a lot of recovery. So anywhere from 1 pound, 1.2 to 1.5 to 1.0 per pound of body weight, I would say. You want to be a little bit careful because you don't want to have a lot of gut issues, but you need to be able to eat enough. It's a job, right? If you're really trying to perform, you're going for gold. And so you need to be able to figure out how to get it in and the timing of when you should be getting it in so that you can be most optimal for your next lift, training session, whatever. If you're a CrossFitter, or endurance athlete, I would probably stay a little bit lower, like at 1 gram. I think that should be sufficient to not lose muscle mass. And the reason being is that it's really just trying to optimize recovery. You want to have more room for carbs if you're an endurance or CrossFit athlete. If you are a bodybuilder, right, like I would probably be more on the 1.5, even I think at the most extreme when you're in cuts, like you're up to 2.0, because you're really trying to fight the body's cannibalization of losing muscle mass in a deficit. Because muscle tissue is so energy expensive, right? It's energy costly to keep muscle tissue on the body. When the body gets into a cut and it gets into a deficit, it gets desperate to lose weight. and get things off. And so it's smart. Our bodies are very intelligent. Instead of losing fat, it will be very easy to get rid of muscle tissue because it's more energy costly. And so if we don't have as much energy and we need to store energy to make sure that we survive, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to cut the most expensive things out of the budget, essentially, right? So that would be muscle. So the way we offset that we'll stick with the analogy of the bodybuilder, is you are going to eat a lot of protein. And that's how you're able to hold on to muscle while being in such a deficit. If you're just a sports athlete playing basketball, football, something like that, I think 1 to 1.2 grams is plenty. And you should optimize that, and that'll help you recover and keep muscle tissue in season and out of season. If you're a hormonal health client, we're going to go a little bit lower. And the reason we go a little bit lower is because fats and carbs are actually going to be more of our friend for hormonal health. Carbs are going to help regulate energy system and allow the body to feel more optimal, which always allows things to run more efficient. Fats are going to help regulate hormonal health, in a way that allows things to function and be vibrant and run smooth. So you want to have more calories for that. And typically hormonal health people have been under eating chronically. So in order to get them enough fats and carbs, we typically lower protein at first. Now, when you get a hormonal health client up to maintenance, I would go 1 gram per pound of body weight. I think that's still really good. But until then, I'd probably drop someone down to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, just until we see their health markers, whether it's like their LDL or their thyroids, kind of get to those more optimal levels. For a vitality client and a longevity client, it would really depend on like what they're going for. Like if it's just that I want to live long and prosper, I would actually keep you around 0.8 to maybe even 0.7. And the reason for this is that it's still enough protein to feel really good, but you don't care about looking shredded at the beach, and you're not trying to perform maximal. You're just trying to keep some good muscle tissue on you and feel good. And you like to go for hikes and you enjoy playing with your grandkids. This person, I would say, keep them around 0.7 to 1.0 grams. It's going to be better on their gut health, right? We got to think optimally about that. Protein is very hard to digest. There's also really good ideas to do like a protein fast, at least an animal protein fast, just to allow your gut to get a reset, because so much protein can be really challenging on the gut. I've actually did one of these a couple of years ago where it was like I went vegan for like 3 or 4 days just to try to get my gut to reset. I didn't even have gut issues. It was just being on such a high protein diet for so long that it was just really good to try to do that once a year kind of thing. Excuse me. So I would just say that if you're looking for optimal health, you want to live long and prosper, you should think more so about getting a variety of color in your meals, a variety of vegetables, orange vegetables like carrots, and I guess beets would be red, but something like that. Green vegetables, getting your yellow vegetables, your squashes and things like that. You want to get a variety of color. You want to get a variety of color of fruits, because the more colors you have, the more different minerals and vitamins, and you're getting those things in your body. It's great for energy. It's great for getting for vitality. Then what you want to do also is have an adequate amount of protein so you can hold on to muscle mass, regulate blood sugar levels, and make sure skin, hair, nails, everything is functional. But you don't need so much of it because you're not in a caloric deficit. You're not trying to lose weight. You're not trying to go and perform at like some performance type of level. You don't need so much for the recovery. So I would optimize you to stay at an adequate 0.7 to 1.0 grams of body weight, and that should be sufficient. And in conclusion, if you have more questions, obviously DM us, reach out, email us back if you're getting this in the newsletter. But protein is not just for bodybuilders, right? It's for your metabolism, your mood, your muscles, your hormones. Literally, like, it just benefits your entire life. And when we think about these things, these big staples of animal protein, so meats, we think of dairy protein like milks, whey protein, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt. That is where you're going to get the bulk of it from. If you are a vegan, right, it's very challenging. If you're not doing it for moral reasons, I would really try to talk you out of it, just because it's very, very challenging to make the puzzle fit. It really is. And I've worked with clients that have done this, and it's usually not very successful, not because of a lack of knowledge, but just because it's very, very challenging. But you would stick to a lot of, if you're okay with eating insects, crickets is one big one for vegans that are okay with eating insects. And then you would eat a lot of lentils, quinoa, black beans, soy, things like that, that would have protein in it. Now, prove me wrong. There's protein bodybuilders out there. It's not optimal. I would argue that they weren't vegan when they started, and they might have used anabolic stuff to help also. But that's for another podcast. In the meantime, I would just try to stick to the big ones. And if you want to reach out to us, we can send you our quick little 3-page ebook on some protein snacks we came up with that are just kind of really yummy, optimal ones. And then if you want to work with one of our coaches, we design a nutrition kind of prescription for each client that really helps them. And that would be helping you think through the protein that you need. So hope this is great. If please like and subscribe, please leave us a review. We're always trying to grow and have our reach go deeper. We're also still running our promo of a referral business. If you refer someone to us and you're a current client or want to be a client, you get half off your first month, and the client that signed up that you referred gets half off for their first month. So if you want to try out working with one of our coaches one-on-one, and you want to do our elite package where you get labs done quarterly, you get to be with our mindset coach, and you also get the nutrition and personalized programming, then you can also get half off on that as well. So share this, like it. Thanks for listening, and hope this was a huge help to you.